Parents, what lessons have you tried to teach your kids that completely backfired? When my 8-year-old son Jake kept losing his homework, I decided to teach him about natural consequences. Instead of constantly reminding him about assignments, I'd step back and let him face the teacher's disappointment. That way, he'd learn real responsibility. It worked beautifully for the first 2 weeks. Jake started using a planner, checking his backpack twice before leaving for school, and even setting his own alarms. I felt like a parenting genius. Then I got the first phone call from another parent. "Your son told my daughter that I'm a bad mom because I remind her to pack her lunch," Mrs. Chen said, sounding confused and slightly offended. "He said that real parents let their kids fail so they can learn proper lessons." My stomach dropped, but I thought it was just a misunderstanding. The next day, 3 more parents called. Jake had apparently started something called the Natural Consequences Club at school. He was going around convincing other kids that their parents were babying them by helping with basic tasks. According to him, any parental assistance was actually harmful to a child's development. Within a week, kids were showing up to school without coats in freezing weather, forgetting their instruments for band practice, and missing permission slips for field trips. The school secretary told me they'd never had so many unprepared students in a single week. But it got much worse. Jake had been taking detailed notes on every parent-child interaction he witnessed. He created what he called his Enabling Parent Database, a notebook where he ranked parents from properly distant to helicopter destroyers of independence. He'd positioned himself as some kind of 8-year-old life coach, offering unsolicited advice to both kids and adults about their dependency issues. The principal called it the Great Parent Strike of 3rd grade. During recess, Jake was holding what other kids called independence meetings, where he'd teach them to reject help from teachers, parents, and even older siblings. He told one kindergartner that tying shoes was something adults should never assist with, leaving the poor kids struggling with laces for an entire day. The situation peaked during parent-teacher conference night. I was sitting in the classroom with about 15 other parents when Jake suddenly stood up during Mrs. Peterson's presentation about homework policies. "Excuse me," he announced confidently, "but my dad taught me that good parents let their kids struggle and face natural consequences, so maybe you adults should stop helping each other with everything too." The room went silent. Then he proceeded to lecture the entire group of parents about what he called enabling behaviors. He criticized Mr. Johnson for helping his wife find her car keys that morning and told Mrs. Rodriguez that bringing her husband coffee was preventing his growth as an independent person. Mrs. Peterson looked at me with wide eyes as Jake pulled out his notebook. "I've been documenting which parents actually follow natural consequences principles," he continued, flipping through pages of observations. "Most of you fail badly. Mrs. Kim, you literally tied your daughter's shoes yesterday morning. And Mr. Davis, you reminded your son about his soccer uniform 3 times. The teacher whispered to me urgently, "He's been conducting social experiments during lunch. Yesterday, he convinced half the 2nd grade that accepting help with opening milk cartons was a sign of weakness." Other parents started turning to stare at me as Jake kept presenting his research findings about proper parenting techniques. "The problem with most adults," Jake concluded, "is that you don't trust your own natural consequences philosophy. My dad does, which is why I'm more independent than everyone else here." I wanted to disappear into the floor. Since that night, Jake has turned his analytical eye toward our entire household. He now critiques every choice my wife and I make. "Dad, making my lunch is preventing my emotional growth," he told me yesterday morning. "And Mom, folding my laundry shows you don't trust my natural learning process." He's even started charging neighborhood kids 50 cents for independence consultations, where he teaches them to reject parental assistance. I tried to teach him responsibility and accidentally created an 8-year-old business consultant who judges everyone's life choices. The worst part? His grades are perfect now, so I can't even argue with his methods.